Hi there, this is Crystal and I am back with week 35 in my 2018 Project Life album. I have my photos printed here. You can see I only have 3 from this entire week, so it was a pretty slow week for me. I do have some things to journal about though, so that will fill in some of the spots. And as for supplies, what I have is, this is where I keep all of my Citrus Twist Kit Pocket Life kit supplies. I have 3 kits right now that I'm still working from. These were kits that I have broken down, and I keep kind of all the embellishments right here. Some of the ephemera I just put into one of these iris cases, and stamps are in front, and journal cards and other ephemera. It's not very organized right now. I haven't gone through it recently, and a few other things that aren't Citrus Twist kits are in here as well. But I'm just going to kind of pull from everything here and see what I can come up with, going with the colors in my photos. And I know I'll need lots of filler cards, so that's kind of what inspired me to just look through everything that I have. So I'll probably put this on super fast forward as I sort through everything, and we'll see what I can come up with. So I'm going to start by just flipping through the journal cards that I have. Like I said, I keep those just in the front of this iris container, and I'm looking specifically for ones that are red, yellow, wood grain, things that are warm in color tone. All of my photos are very warm in color tone and have a lot of reds and yellows and wood grain in them. So I'm just looking for things that will match. So I started with just the stash of cards that are from previous kits that I've already broken down, and now I'm going through the August Perfectly Posh kit. I still have a lot left over in this kit, so I still have it all together in the bag it came in, and I find a few things from that kit that I think I might want to use. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the September kit. This is the September Heartbreaker Pocket Life kit from Citrus Twist. And I find also a few things there that I think might work, including that 6x8 wood grain paper and this stamp as well. So once I have all of those things pulled out and at my disposal, I'm going to set the bin aside and start working on the spread. I'm going to start by placing my photos where I think I might want to keep them, and then I'm going to go through the papers and cards that I've pulled out and see what will work, what looks good with my photos, and what looks good balanced out on the spread. I do have to trim a few of them, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now, just so that I can really see what it will look like when it's finished. And I spend quite a bit of time fussing around with these, moving them around the spread, trying to decide what I want where, and I eventually realized it's that yellow card that was bothering me, so I took it off and I immediately liked the layout much better. So now I think I have things where I want them. I'm going to start going through the embellishments, and I'll start with the ones that I've already pulled out from the kits that I looked through. And I really love these chipboard embellishments. They came in both of those kits, the Perfectly Posh and the Heartbreaker kits. So I do pull out a couple of those. And I've been dying to use these huge enamel shapes, so I'm very excited to get one of those on my spread as well. I think I might be able to use a couple of these smaller phrase enamels, but they just don't end up working out for me. Neither do these cork shapes. They work really well with the color scheme, but I just couldn't make them work with the sentiments that were on them and the stories I had to tell for this week. I am going to sort through this ephemera pack, and I'm not sure which kit. I think this is from the Perfectly Posh kit. I'm not positive. It's from one of those two, either the Heartbreaker or the Perfectly Posh kit. And there are quite a few things in here that I think will work. So just going to sort through and start piling things on like I usually do. I always take out way more than I end up using, but that gives me options, but not quite as many options as just having the entire packet out in front of me. So far so good. I'm going to start looking through some of the older embellishments now. So these are all of the cut apart sheets. Each month we get a free cut apart that matches that month's kit. So this is the one from July, and I find a few things that I think will work in this bunch of ephemera. And I think this was actually 2 prints. I think I actually printed the July printable twice. I think my printer maybe messed up on a small part of it, so I just decided to print the whole thing twice. So that's why there's so much there. And like I said, I found some labels that go well with the wood grain paper. They have a wood grain border, so I think that will be perfect for a couple of the cards, and I can never have too many labels, so I keep all of those out. And then I looked through some of the other embellishments, but the only one I really end up using is that yellow phrase sticker that's from an older Citrus Twist kit as well. And I was looking for an alpha to use for my title card, but then I remembered that the October kit actually came with a stamp that will work perfectly. I really wanted to use a black alpha. I thought it really needed a contrast with all of these soft, light colors. So I end up going back into my stash and pulling out that stamp from October that has the word week in it. So that's what I'm going to use on my title card. So I decide to start there, and I'm just going to pull out all of my supplies for stamping. I get my ink and my acrylic block and an eraser, since this is the first time I'll be using this stamp. I know I need to prime it, and then I also grab a baby wipe just so I can make sure I clean everything up. And I get the stamp primed, and I just go right ahead and stamp it down on my card, and luckily it turned out perfectly. It was a bit of a gutsy move on my part. I usually like to test things out a little bit first, but it worked out. So I was thinking I would stamp this little sentiment in the, there's a little space in the week stamp for one of the little phrases on the stamp. I thought I would just do that in black, but I end up going with Versamagic chalk ink in Mango Madness. I just felt like it really brought out a lot of the yellows in the rest of the spread. So it brought some of that yellow to the title card. And now I'm going to use this black alpha just for the numbers for this week, for the 35. I don't have much left of that alpha, but I do have some numbers, so I was happy to put those to use. And then I'm just going to stamp this week's dates in black as well, just using my date stamp, my roller date stamp. That's a roller date stamp that I purchased at Target from the Dollar Spot a long time ago, and it has the reverse order, the European order of dates, so I really like it. It's a bit smaller than my other date stamps as well. It tends to fit better on some labels. So for this photo next to the title card, I just added a little tag that says Back to Nature and a little chipboard piece that has a leaf on it, and then just stapled that on. Very simple. For this photo of my morning coffee, I'm using a card that says Simple Pleasures, and then I'm going to add a little phrase sticker that just says morning, and I'm just going to add a little gold heart to that as well, and that one is done too. So I'm keeping things very simple this week. Now I'm just going to look at the rest of these yellow phrase stickers to see if there's anything that I think might work on any of the other cards on this spread, and I do find one that I think will work with this bottom photo. So I go ahead and attach that and add the enamel shape that has the heart on it, and then I add the phrase, and it says a little bit of lovely. I just tuck that under the photo. And on this card on the bottom, I know I want to add some journaling also to that one on the top, and then that label in the center. So I was a little worried that they were all stacked up on one side. I thought maybe I needed to move them around, but I decided to just go ahead and do my journaling and get it back on the spread and see what it looks like, to see if it bothers me to have them all on one side. So I use a We Are Memory Keepers typecast typewriter to type my journaling, and I adhere the cards to just a scrap piece of paper. So I have to cover up that adhesive on the back so that it doesn't stick to the page protector and the next week's spread. So I just use some washi tape to do that. And then I'm going to adhere this little journaling tag to the center card, the wood grain card, and I added a little tag behind that. So I didn't measure very well when I did my journaling, and I didn't leave enough space for this enamel shape, but I really wanted to include it. So I tried to cut it off. It worked, although it didn't work very well. I wouldn't recommend it. I think I may have ruined my gold scissors doing it, but I did get it on the spread, so at least there's that. We'll see if my scissors last much longer afterwards, though. So for this one, I know I want to use this chipboard shape that says living it up. There's definitely a circle theme going on this week, so I wanted to add that other circle as well. And I decided to add it to the top of this label that has a wood grain border on it, and I decide I'll just stamp a sentiment in that label, and it'll make a great filler card. So I'm just looking through the rest of my Citrus Twist Kit stamps. They have great phrases that are super usable on lots of different spreads. So I'm just searching through to see if I can find one that goes along well with this week's stories. And I find a couple that I think I might use, and I pulled those aside. I end up going with one that says go on road trips, because we were actually in Kentucky at my family's place for part of this week. So I decided that works well for the stories for this week, and it is too big for the label though. So what I do is I just ink up part of it and then ink up the rest of it and do it in 2 different lines. So I make it into a 2-line stamp instead of a single line stamp so that it'll fit on this card. And then I just add that chipboard piece and staple it on with a gold staple and call that one done. So for this one, I also had a problem with my journaling. It took up too much space at the bottom, and that ephemera piece didn't fit where I had originally wanted it. So I just moved it down a little bit, and in the white space that was left over, I added a stamp that says Storyteller, which went perfectly with the story that's on that card, which is about one of the first scrapbooks I ever made. I found it while I was at my mom's and took some pictures of it, and it was really fun to see what I had done so long ago and how my style has changed and how my style hasn't changed in some ways. So that's what I wrote about there, and now I'm just going to finish off the spread by adding a few more of these gold puffy hearts, which are gorgeous. I added a couple to a few of the different cards, and then I just want to add something to this, to the title card to tie it in with the rest of the spread. And I thought about one of those scallop shapes, but I end up going with this heart at the top, and then that's going to do it for the spread. So there are some close-up photos coming up. I hope you enjoyed watching my process, and if you did, I really do appreciate when you give a thumbs up. It lets me know that you enjoy what I've done here. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so you get notified when I upload new videos. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you back here soon.